Nintendo is not your friend. This should seem obvious because they're a multi-billion-dollar company and their goal is to make a profit, but you'll see a lot of people online just support anything they do. And I've talked about this a few times. I made a video about this months ago, but I feel like it's just gotten worse with how many people take any criticism of Nintendo to be just an unjustified attack on them for whatever reason, and they take it very personally. If you are one of those people, I'm going to explain why that's just not a healthy way to act. And if you're not, I'm going to explain how you can deal with these people. So the term Nintendo fanboys has been around for a long time, and there's two extremes. Like, you'll be called a Nintendo fanboy if you support anything they do, and you'll be called a Nintendo hater if you disagree with anything. Like, there's no nuance anymore. You're one extreme or the other, which obviously isn't true in most cases. I think people who just blindly hate Nintendo and attack anyone who likes Nintendo are annoying too, but I just want to focus on people who have this parasocial relationship with the company. So what that is they see themselves as like being friends with the company itself. Like, you'll see a lot of people have parasocial relationships with celebrities where they'll be a big fan of a certain actor maybe and act like they're friends with them when obviously that actor has no idea they even exist. It's very unhealthy, and it's something that no one praises because we recognize the issues with it. But when it comes to companies, there's like these big groups of people who are typically in echo chambers who will just defend anything Nintendo does and call anyone who disagrees with Nintendo a grifter. And I talked about this in another video where I asked the question, is Nintendo being treated unfairly? And if you want to check out that discussion, you can check that out. But I want to focus on people who are just massive Nintendo fanboys. Someone who will justify Nintendo releasing $80 games that came out 9 years ago, like Breath of the Wild being $80 now just because it has Switch 2 upgrades and doesn't even have the DLC. It's just not justifiable in any way. But you'll find people who justify it because they'll say, oh, it's a $60 game Breath of the Wild is $70 now. But you'll find people who justify it saying that $10 is worth it because you're getting an upgrade, but you don't even get the DLC. Like, if the DLC at least came with it, it would be a lot more understandable. But if you call out this decision, you'll just be called names. You'll say that people say you're just hating for views or you're just a grifter or whatever. And they just get very defensive when you criticize Nintendo at all. And if you're one of these people who just defends anything Nintendo does, there's no reason to do that. Nintendo is not seeing your comments. They don't care about you as a person. They care about your wallet. So you don't need to defend everything they do. You can defend some things they do. If you feel that something is unfair, like if someone says Nintendo only makes bad games and you think that's incorrect, defending that they make good games as not being a fanboy, that's just having a discussion. But there's just very few nuanced discussions I see anymore. It's either you hate Nintendo or you love Nintendo. There's no in between. But for the people who legitimately defend anything Nintendo does, why? Like, what are you gaining out of this? I understand some people have like emotional connections to Reggie or Miyamoto, and it's fine to respect them. Like, I respect them both tremendously. But first off, Reggie is no longer with the company, and second, Miyamoto is not the company. He is someone within Nintendo. He's not the entity of Nintendo. So it's not like if you call Nintendo out for anything, you're calling those people out. And that seems to be the case for a lot of people. Like, they have this emotional attachment to the people at Nintendo and combine them and seem to think that if you're attacking Nintendo, you're attacking them, or they just have a lot of good memories associated with Nintendo and don't want to see anyone attack them as they see it as an attack on themselves. And that's just simply not a good way to be thinking. If you have to try to find any excuse you can for any controversial thing Nintendo does, like, maybe you're just wrong on some things. So I'll get back to this, but I also want to talk about how you deal with these people. To lighten up with the Nintendo defending. But most of the time, like, think of it this way. If someone attacks your best friend, you're probably going to be defensive. You're probably going to say that person is attacking my best friend. Now I don't like that person. I'm going to defend my friend, which is understandable because that's your best friend. You don't want to see someone else attack, whether it's just with words or whether they're punching them or whatever. But these people see Nintendo as their friend. So when someone attacks Nintendo, whether it's justified or not, they take it as like a personal attack. And I don't think most people will admit to that when they fall into that category. But if you just constantly defend every single thing they do and just call anyone out who disagrees with you when it comes to Nintendo, this is how people see you, just being a pure Nintendo fanboy. Now, I think I said this, but I do want to reiterate that you can still defend Nintendo. I defend Nintendo sometimes. I think sometimes people do unnecessarily hate on them, and having a respectful conversation about this isn't the issue here. Like, if someone said Donkey Kong Bonanza isn't worth the price for $70 and said it's a bad game, Nintendo's greedy with it, I would say, even if you don't like the game personally, I think it's a very well-made game. I think you're getting a lot of content out of it. It's worth the industry standard price for it. That would be my response to that. I'm not defending Nintendo because I owe them anything. I'm defending them because they made a good product, and I don't think they were unreasonable with the pricing there. But I would still try to be respectful and clearly articulate my point there. If you are defending Nintendo, even if you're justified, and you find yourself getting emotional over it, that's a problem, because there's no reason to get emotional over it. If someone says something you disagree about Nintendo, how does that actually affect you personally in any way? Nintendo doesn't care, why should you? Now, once again, it's still okay to have that conversation, because it's not like someone should be able to just say whatever they want and have no pushback. And then if someone responds to you and is nasty to you, then that's where the conversation gets a little different. But you shouldn't feel yourself getting heated because someone said something you don't like about Nintendo. Recently I've had a lot of issues with what Nintendo's been doing. Like, I've been a big Nintendo fan my whole life, and I'm not saying don't buy the Switch 2, and I never said don't buy the Switch 2, but I think they've had a lot of issues. I think a lot of their prices recently have been unjustifiable. I think some of their games have just been more expensive than they should have, even if I don't think they're ridiculously priced. I think the Switch 2's content so far, at least from Nintendo themselves, has been lighter than what I would have liked. I think game key cards are awful. I think if you actually defend that, then you're pretty much going to defend anything Nintendo does. And by defending it, I don't mean just buying a game with a game key card. I mean actively defending it and saying that it's a good thing or that it's not bad. Because I've seen people say that, and when I've seen what these people have said before, there's not a bad word about Nintendo. And I think if your first thought when someone says something negative about Nintendo is to call them a grifter, like if knowing nothing about them and knowing nothing about them, then you're probably a Nintendo fanboy who fits into the category of having a parasocial relationship with the company. And a lot of people don't know it. A lot of them just look for any opportunity they can to gang up on someone who says anything bad about Nintendo. An example recently, so someone actually told me that he saw my video posted onto a subreddit, and it actually was a positive thing, like the title, and there was a caption that was positive about it, and there was comments just attacking the video without actually watching it and not even reading the caption. And I think the video was my one about, like, is Nintendo of today worse than it was in the past? And in that video, I never actually give a definitive answer and say Nintendo today is much worse than they were in the past. In fact, I actually do defend some Nintendo decisions in that, and I actually don't just try to hate on Nintendo now because they've been making controversial decisions. I try to give a nuanced overview of it and let the viewer decide. So even with that being in the video, even with the caption and the description for it being positive, people were just seeing the thumbnail and immediately criticizing the video, trying to defend Nintendo in any way they could. They're just used for any opportunity, like, to defend them, which I don't get. I don't know how that's fun, to spend all day trying to back Nintendo for whatever they do. And this happens in other things. It happens with movies. It'll happen with, like, streamers. A lot of people have parasocial relationships with streamers, and I actually saw a clip of someone talking about this once, and I'll get to that. And it happens with other video game companies. Like, there's people who do the same thing for PlayStation or Xbox or whatever. I feel like it's far more extreme with Nintendo, just because Nintendo in the past has had those personalities, like Reggie, like Miyamoto, like Iwata, and it's tied to a lot of people's childhood, so there's a lot of emotional attachment there. But that doesn't justify anything that I'm talking about. And going back to what I was saying about the clip from the streamer I saw, this was a few years ago, and I'm gonna paraphrase heavily in what was said, but it was something like a lot of people in the comments or in the live stream think they're his friend, whether they're just watching him every stream or he's reading some of their chats in the stream, and he's saying that you shouldn't feel the way, like, I'm just streaming, I don't know you, like, I'm doing this to entertain you. And a lot of people get the wrong idea that means that we're friends. So that's a little different because that's with the streamer, that's with one singular person. But it's the same thing with Nintendo. Nintendo makes games to entertain you. They're not your friend. They're not trying to be your friend. They don't care if you call them out. They don't care if you defend them. Most people don't actually hate Nintendo. There are plenty of people that hate Nintendo, don't get me wrong. It's not like that's a rarity nowadays. But most people who do call out Nintendo actually really like their games, but they just are unhappy with the decisions they're seeing now. It doesn't mean they hate the company. It doesn't mean they're trying to grift. It means most likely they have legitimate qualms with the decisions being made, and they're calling that out. And if you can't see that, if you just see red when you see that, that's saying a lot more about you than that other person. And that's all I wanted to talk about in this video. It's just something I've been seeing a lot recently, and I wanted to add some more nuance to this, because I think it's a topic that everyone really knows about, but no one really wants to discuss much. And you can ignore it. It's a lot easier to ignore for some people. I don't really interact with these people much, but I do see it, and I did just want to give my opinions on this. I just want there to be more healthy discourse when it comes to Nintendo, whether you're saying positive or negative things, to not just make it so black and white. If you want to see more of my videos where I talk about the positives and negatives with the company, hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you next time.